I'm Paul Pasolka, Ivy Masters Learning Center at ivymasters.com, and today we're going to look at the 37th question from Digital SAT Test 1 Math Potato version, and it reads, and a given equation B is constant, for which of the following values of B will the equation have more than one real solution? So probably the easiest way to do this is just plug it in Desmos. You're going to have access to Desmos when you do this Digital SAT. So let's see what happens. If I go to here, first of all, you have to understand that it's, when it asks how many solutions, it's saying how many times is across the x-axis. And here you can see that right here, it crosses the x-axis. And right here, it also crosses the x-axis. The x-axis where y is 0. So it looks like 64x squared minus 91x squared x plus 25 is going to be your answer. Now, let's say you want to check to see why the other answer's wrong. Let's plug negative 80 in there, 5 and 40. Negative 80. And there you see, it looks like it only crosses the x-axis once. I'm zooming out here, but it looks like it only crosses the x-axis once. It doesn't even look like a parabola. And then if we do, let's see what our other values were. We had five and 40. Let's test out 5. Okay, so you go with plus 5. Parabola is nowhere to be found. It doesn't look like it's crossing the x-axis there. Okay, and then the other value was 40. So I plug 40 in, and once again, do we see it? I don't see it. And we're zoning out. And so I'm just rolling my mouse, by the way, in order to zoom in and zoom out of Desmos. Okay, on that note, let's see how we could do it by hand as well. And we're right here. You've got the quadratic formula. What is it? It's negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, the whole thing over 2a. Well, if you notice, b squared minus 4ac is underneath the root. Anytime you have a negative underneath the root, it's imaginary. There's no real solutions. So I'm just going to look at the b squared minus 4ac. If it's negative, then there's no solution. If it's 0, then there's exactly one solution. Notice there's a plus or minus outside. Let's say you did your negative b over 2a and you got a 5. And then you did your b squared minus 4ac and you got a 0. Well, if you take that 5 and you add square root of 0 is 0. If you add 0, you get 5. If you do 5 minus 0, you get 5 as well. Let's say you did your b squared minus 4ac and you got something positive. Then there's going to be two solutions. How is that logical? Well, let's say you do your negative b over 2a and that portion gives you, again, a 5. Well, if underneath the root, let's say you did your b squared minus 4ac and you got a 4, well, the square root of 4 is 2, and then you do 5 plus 2, you get 7, 5 minus 2, and you get 3. So now let's see. So I'm going to write that out. So if b squared minus 4ac, if it's positive, then there's two solutions. b squared minus 4ac. If it's, and that stem is a little too big, make it look like a b. b squared minus 4ac. If it's negative, then there's 0 solutions. And b squared minus 4ac. If it's 0, then there's one solution. So you might call that this is like the nature of b squared minus 4ac. And this is the number of solutions. Okay, on that note, let's begin to do this by hand. So if we had 64x squared minus 91x plus 25, if I do my b squared minus 4ac Your b is negative 91. That quantity is squared minus 4 times a, which is 64, times c, which is 25. Now, am I going to do this? I'm going to try not to. So 91 squared, I'm just going to round it to negative 90. So that's going to be a little more than 8,900. And you also have your decimals calculator. You could do this. If I did 4 times 25, we get 100 times 64. This is going to be around 6,400. And so you see that difference is going to be positive. So we know that our answer is going to be, that's going to be our answer, because then you'd have positive, which we said was 2 solutions. Now let's just look at why one of the wrong answers is wrong. So if we did negative 80 there, then it would be b squared. So instead of the negative 91 there, we'd have a negative 80. So b squared minus 4ac. Your b squared would be negative 80 squared minus 4. And your a would be 64. And your c would be 25. And 8 times 8 is 64. This is going to be 6,400 minus 4 times 25 is 100 times 64, again, is 6,400. That difference is going to give you 0. And we said when b squared minus 4ac is 0, then there's one solution. And if you notice, we know that the other answer choices are going to be wrong, because then when the value of b gets smaller, then you're going to get negative. So when it was the biggest, well, it's the absolute value of it is the biggest, then you have the biggest chance of it being 2 solutions. And when the absolute value of it is the smallest, then it's the smallest chance of it having 2 solutions. Thank you for joining us today. If you like this video, click like. You could share it with someone who has difficulty with the discriminant. Is there any question you'd like to see answered from any official PSAT or SAT or ACT? Leave that in the comments. I'd be happy to shoot a video on it. Click subscribe so you don't miss anything, and check out our 1-minute video on TikTok. Have a great day.